you're a foodie celebrating a special occasion or simply enjoy the atmosphere and experience of specialty restaurants on a cruise, these tips, hacks, and secrets will help you to not only save money, but have a better cruise. Hi there, I'm Ilana from the website lifewellcruise.com. Welcome back to my channel. Now please let me know if you enjoy cruise food. I know that I do. And while of course I do enjoy the food that's included on a cruise, I also have started to really enjoy the specialty restaurants, both for their food, but also for the atmosphere and experience during my cruise. Now, this video isn't for everyone. If you're somebody who prefers to only eat in the included restaurants on a cruise, well, then you may want to skip this one. However, there are some ways that you can save some money and even sometimes go to some of these specialty restaurants without taking any money out of your pocket. So in this video, I'll go over why you might want to do specialty dining on a cruise, as well as some tips and tricks to save money and have an overall better experience. I'll also answer some frequently asked questions that people have about the experience. Now, before I get started, I did want to mention that if you like this video, if you find it helpful, informative, or enjoyable in any way, then please do give this video a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it. And please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Let's get started. Okay, firstly, we have to talk about why would you go to a specialty restaurant if the food is basically included on a cruise, and there is tons of food. So why would you want to go? Well, firstly, it really is a different experience at a specialty restaurant than the main dining room. On a lot of cruise ships that have between maybe 3,500 and even up to 6,000 or 7,000 guests, of course, feeding everybody in the main dining room or even in the buffet is just not going to be the same as eating in a restaurant that can accommodate usually on average about 300, maybe 350 people sitting at a time. Now, this does mean that even if the menu items seem similar to something that you might find in the main dining room, the taste is usually going to be different. Oftentimes the ingredients are actually better, perhaps they're a higher grade, or they are a little bit fresher. And the attention to detail, even in terms of the presentation, well, it is better, there's no denying, in a specialty restaurant. Now, on top of that, a lot of main dining rooms can get a little bit hectic, a little bit busy, a little bit noisy, especially I found if you are doing my time or select dining and basically that open dining. It does tend to get a little bit busy with waiters walking around all the time. So a specialty restaurant really does have a little bit of a quieter, even more intimate atmosphere. And especially if you're on a very large or a mega ship, the service that you would get in the main dining room just doesn't compare to what you can get in terms of attentive service in a specialty restaurant. And by the way, the specialty restaurants are often in partnership with celebrity chefs or renowned chefs, and the attention to detail on the menu, the presentation, and honestly, the food taste and quality often does show. Now, are specialty restaurants really worth it? I'll let you know what I think towards the end of the video, as well as my philosophy on how I make it work. Okay, so now let's get into those tips and tricks that will save you money and more. So number one, consider booking your specialty dining for the first night of your cruise. Now, oftentimes there is a bit of a perk to do this. There is oftentimes a discount. Now, in the case of celebrity, they often do have a discount on their specialty restaurants. It's even better if you can book that online before your cruise. And in the case of Carnival, not everybody knows this, but when you go to the specialty restaurant on the first night of your cruise on Carnival, they will give you for free, they will give you a bottle of wine. Now, if you don't want that bottle of wine and you want to choose your own, they will give you a 50% discount on a bottle of your choice. Now, considering a bottle of wine on a cruise is probably priced around $40 or more, this is a really good value and a reason to go the first night of your cruise. Number three, book the first night of your cruise to avoid the chaos that is often in the main dining room, especially if you have that open dining. It's almost always a little bit of a hectic mess. People say the service just isn't great. I can attest to that. It usually takes at least a day for everything to kind of work out. Well, we finally took a lot of people's advice on our last cruise and we booked specialty dining on the first night of our cruise. It was an amazing experience. We had a reservation, so we knew the time that we were going. We were relaxed. We had amazing service. And not only was it better than in the main dining room for the first night, and did we get that free bottle of wine, but it's also quieter and less busy on embarkation day, as oftentimes people are just a little bit tired, or they figure they're going to check out the main dining room and they'll book specialty dining for later during the cruise. Number 4, skip dinner in the specialty restaurants and instead go for lunch. Now, this isn't available on all cruise lines, but Royal Caribbean and some other cruise lines have this too. They offer lunch in the specialty restaurants as well as dinner. Now, the benefit is it's about half the price and half as busy. And honestly, the menu is fantastic. A few years ago, we went to Giovanni's and we went for lunch. And I can attest to the fact that it was one of the best Italian meals that we've ever had on a cruise. Number 5, save money by booking the dining package. Now, oftentimes there are several different dining packages, so you can choose 2 nights, 3 nights, all the way up to unlimited dining. And of course, at the unlimited, that's where you're going to save the most money. I think the cruise lines usually say that's a savings of about 40%. So definitely very good. And when you have unlimited, you can go for lunch, you can go for dinner. So that does give you the most flexibility. And if for you, dining is really an experience, this can really be well worth it. But even if you just do a 3-night dining package out of a 7-night cruise, that gives those extra experiences and you still are going to have a really nice discount. Number 6, book those packages online before your cruise. So that is where you're going to get the deals. And at the same time, something that you'll want to do is you are going to want to basically stalk the cruise line website, keep an eye on your emails and watch for some specific dates for promotions. Now, in particular, Black Friday, this is when cruisers say they have gotten some phenomenal deals on the dining packages. So watch out for dining packages, shore excursions, any of those extra cruise planner items. Watch that around Black Friday. Now, of course, watch for other times of the year when there are sales as well, even including President's Day, but you can really score some big savings that way. Number 8, purchase the perks packages or all-inclusive packages where you're able to get dining as well as some other items that do have value to you on your cruise. Now, in particular, I'm talking about, and not all cruise lines have this, but Norwegian's Free at Sea, where you can get specialty dining included with your cruise. Now, of course, it does depend how long your cruise is. Now, the amount of specialty restaurants that you can get does depend on the type of cabin that you have, also the amount of days of your cruise, but you can also add on to your package if you want. Now, in addition to that package, we also have Princess Premiere. That includes 2 specialty restaurants as well as some casual dining venues. Now, with Holland America's Have It All, not only do you get specialty dining, but you get Wi-Fi, you get a beverage package, and shore excursions as well. Now, another little tip, and this is not really specialty restaurants, but it is a special class of restaurants in a way. So by booking certain cabins, so yes, suites, but even beyond suites, there are cruise lines that have certain classes of cabins that do have a more intimate restaurant that is dedicated for them. And oftentimes there not only is a little bit of a better service because it's a smaller venue, but you also do have a different menu. So in particular, we have Celebrity that has the Aqua class cabins, and you can eat in the restaurant Blue. And with Holland America, you do have Club Orange that you can pay an additional amount per day, but you can opt into if you want. Discounts for children. Yes, if you are cruising with children, most cruise lines do have discounts for children. So oftentimes those discounts are up until the age of 12, if I'm not mistaken. Do make sure that you look on your own cruise line's websites and discounts for younger children as well. Now, when it comes to the reservations, oftentimes you can reserve before your cruise, but if you do take certain packages, sometimes you do need to wait until you're on board the cruise to make those reservations. So in that case, the little tip here is that you want to get the earliest embarkation time possible because you want to get on board that ship and reserve those restaurants as quick as can be. Now, speaking of getting on board the cruise ship early, if you are sailing with Royal Caribbean, you can consider booking the key. Now, booking the key, you have to take a look for yourself if the other benefits are worth it. But one of the benefits is that you have an embarkation day lunch that is pretty special. Now, this does take place in the main dining room. However, it includes a menu that has selections from Chops Grill. Now, included in that is Angus filet mignon and warm chocolate melting cake. Now that lunch really does sound more appealing than braving the crowds at the buffet. Now please let me know if you've ever had the key, if you think it was worth it, and in particular, if that lunch, well, please let us know how you enjoyed it in the comments below. Tips for reservations. Now specialty restaurants these days really have become very popular. They can only accommodate so many people at a time. So oftentimes people say that they do have a little bit of trouble getting the reservation time that they like. So there are a couple of tips for this. Firstly, if you like to eat early or late, oftentimes you're not going to have an issue getting those times. So at 5 o'clock or even 5:30 or after 8:30 or 9, those are usually the times that are pretty wide open. However, what happens if you get an 8:30 or 9 o'clock time and you don't want to eat at that time? Well, something that you can do is take that time, but once on board the cruise, or even take that time if you did book it when on the cruise, but a little bit later on, go and see the maitre d' at that restaurant. Sometimes there have been changes, so people have canceled or just changed reservations, and there is an opening. Or as well, just ask if there's any solution, anything that they can do. Oftentimes, based on my own experience, it seems like there is some flexibility when you speak directly with the maitre d'. Consider Virgin Voyages. Yes, I had to have a category or point all its own. If you are a foodie, if you like specialty restaurants, something that you should know is that Virgin Voyages includes all of their restaurants in the price of the cruise. It really was a pleasure when I cruised with Virgin to be able to eat in the steakhouse. If there's one thing that people often say about Virgin is that their food is really excellent. And I have to say it was a pleasure to eat in all of their different restaurants. Now we ate in Pink Agave, which is basically an upscale Mexican restaurant. I personally loved the Wake, which is a steak and seafood restaurant. You have Razzle Dazzle, which is a vegan or vegetable forward restaurant. You also have an Italian restaurant and a Korean barbecue. So really those experiences of specialty dining are included on a Virgin cruise. And if you are looking to save a little bit of money, that is something to watch for. Go to a la carte restaurants during the day for a snack, or even in the early evening for appetizers. Now, you don't have to go to a specialty dining restaurant for an entire big meal. Now, oftentimes we think of specialty restaurants as our entire larger meal, but you can go and have sushi at one of the a la carte restaurants. We did that on our recent Carnival cruise. You can also go to Playmakers on Royal Caribbean. We had some onion rings and some wings, and I had the beverage package, so I had some sangria. My husband and son had some beer, and that was what we did for lunch one day. And I have to say the price really wasn't very expensive. I thought it was well worth it. Use your onboard credits to pay for your specialty restaurants. So oftentimes we think, oh, those specialty restaurants, that's an extra. I don't want to pay extra on top of the price that I'm already paying for my cruise. But in some cases, perhaps you've booked your cruise when there was a promotion from the cruise line and you got additional onboard credits. Maybe you got onboard credits from the travel agent that you booked with. Maybe you're a cruise line shareholder and you have onboard credits as a shareholder benefit. Maybe you booked a future cruise and you have future cruise onboard credits. You get the idea. But all of those onboard credits that can add up to hundreds of dollars, why not spend on the experience of specialty dining and not feel like you're taking any money out of your pocket? Now let's get into some questions that many people do have about specialty dining on a cruise. So firstly, is there a dress code in specialty restaurants? Do you have to wear a jacket and tie and that kind of thing? So no, on most cruise lines, there really isn't. Now there could be a little bit of a dress code or a dress suggestion, meaning that sometimes those specialty restaurants will ask men to wear a collared shirt, and basically a collared shirt just means a polo style shirt. So make sure for every cruise, I always say for men, bring at least one polo style shirt and at least one pair of pants. It could even be jeans, because sometimes they could have a rule that you can't go in with shorts. So you don't want to be turned away. Make sure of that. And other than that, it's basically don't wear pool wear. And for ladies, it's very open. Just wear something that looks nice. Can you eat in a specialty restaurant and also eat in the main dining room at your set or open dining time? So yes, if you feel that you are still hungry or you just like really cruise food, absolutely. You can go to the specialty dining restaurant and you can eat in the main dining room as well. Or if you really like a dessert on the menu in the main dining room, you could just go for dessert later on, or plan any way that you like. So when is specialty dining worth it and not worth it? Then after this, I'm going to share with you my favorite specialty dining restaurants in case you are interested. So when is it not worth it to book specialty dining on a cruise? Well, basically, if you're not a foodie, if you just don't even care about it, then just don't book specialty dining. It's probably not worth it. If you prefer a buffet atmosphere, maybe you don't like to sit down for an hour or 2 hours at dinner, then I probably wouldn't do specialty dining because it will probably take about an hour and a half at every restaurant that you go to. If you're cruising with kids and they cannot sit still, I probably wouldn't bring them to a specialty restaurant, but what you can do is you can bring them to the buffet or even to the main dining room and then bring them up to the kids club. Oftentimes the kids club has activities starting around 7 o'clock p.m. or sometimes the kids club might even have a group dinner. So enroll them in that and then go to specialty dining on your own and have a couple's romantic dinner. Now, the way I see specialty dining and how I justify the fact that it's worth it is I see it as an experience. So the same way that I might spend on shore excursions or maybe to go for a massage on a cruise, I really think of that specialty dining. Even if I don't do an ultimate dining, but if I do a couple of nights on a cruise, I really do enjoy that experience. I love cruise food and I love it when I go to a restaurant that has a great presentation and a great service. So I really do consider it an experience that to me is very worth it. But I'd love to know what you think, so please do let me know down in the comments below. So what are the best specialty dining restaurants on a cruise? Well, of course, every cruise line is different, but also things are very subjective. So I'll just let you know what are some of my favorite specialty dining restaurants on a cruise. So for me, on Holland America, it is Tamarind. It's one of my absolute favorite specialty restaurants across any cruise line. I just absolutely love it. It's Asian, by the way. Absolutely different and a very different experience that probably is hard to even find for me at home. So that is probably one of my favorites. The second one is Carnival, Fahrenheit 555. Now, while I wouldn't say all of Carnival's food at the main dining room or elsewhere was my absolute favorite, although I had a lot of things that I liked, my goodness, that steakhouse does not disappoint. The service, the presentation, absolutely loved it. So don't forget, if you are going on Carnival, go on the first night of your cruise to get that free bottle of wine. Royal Caribbean Chops. Oh, did I ever love that. We were on Oasis of the Seas. We ate at Chops, but we ate in the outdoor space in Central Park. The waiter was phenomenal. The service, the food, it was terrific. And I loved the atmosphere of eating outside. Absolutely loved it. On Celebrity, on some of their older cruise ships, they have Tuscan Grill. That is still one of my all-time favorite restaurants on a cruise. I love it. On Norwegian Cruise Line, I love teppanyaki. I just find that is an experience that, to me, probably on any cruise, but on Norwegian in particular, just love it. On Princess, Crown Grill. Now, we are steak eaters, and I just think Crown Grill, it's got that classic steakhouse vibe. The service is always great. The steaks and other meats and seafood even, such nice things to choose from. I love it. And on Virgin, even though all of the specialty restaurants or just the restaurants are included, my favorite personally was Wake because of the gorgeous view and steak and seafood, which is my preference. Now, by the way, if you're interested in the included food on a cruise and the main dining room in particular, I'm going to leave a video right after this one that will give a little bit more information and tips for you. But I'd love to hear from you. Please let me know your own tips and tricks for specialty dining, and please let me know your favorites as well. I hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give it a big thumbs up. I really do appreciate it, and please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Bye for now, and happy cruising.